Workplace Gender Discrimination with Yelda Kakar. So before we begin, I wanted to define gender discrimination. According to workplacefairness.org, gender discrimination is defined as sex or gender discrimination in employment involves treating someone unfavorably because of the person's sex, whether they are applying for a job or are a current employee. Now, what I want to focus on is gender discriminations on females in specific. There is gender discrimination towards male and female, but today I want to specifically zone into females. And what sparked this idea was a conversation I actually had with my manager about feminism. So the conversation went a little like this. Hey Sharon, I wanted to get your ideas on my project about femcrit.
Well, Yelda, I don't think I can help you because I'm not a feminist.
Well, you don't have to be a feminist because it is just the understanding that men are the more privileged gender.
That's true. When I was leaving my old branch, a customer told me, I hope to replace you with a man because you don't know what you're talking about and belong at home.
That's awful. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Sharon.
Well, I've worked with 2 female managers before, and they've never faced any kind of discrimination because of their gender.
I'm glad they didn't have to face any discrimination due to their gender, but that doesn't erase or excuse Sharon or other women's discriminations.
Okay, whatever.
After this exchange, I didn't know where to start, so I first started with his previous 2 managers, which both happened to be white females. That was the one thing they both had in common, was their race. And my manager, she was Samoan. So this raised my curiosity. Do women of color get more discrimination at a workplace than others, than white females? To women of color in America, do these quotes sound familiar to you? You should be thankful you have the job. They don't care about your kind over here. How did your husband allow you to even work? And you should be home cooking and cleaning. These are all quotes that I've heard said, and I've heard said personally to me. And this is not okay. So I did a little more research, and what I found was actually a group of 3 professors did a study on gender bias against women in science. And the study actually supported that gender bias exists, and it exists for women of color. 100% of scientists they interviewed reported encountering gender bias at work. These are some conclusions that they drew. Specific to race. Asian American scientists are more likely than other women to report workplace pressures to fulfill traditionally feminine roles and push back if they didn't. Latinas who behave assertively risk being seen as angry or emotional. Nearly 60% of Latinas surveyed noted backlash for expressing anger. Also, Black women are allowed more leeway than other groups of women to behave in dominant ways, so long as they are not seen as angry Black women. There was a quote in the study that I really admired, and it was, "You can try to ignore it just to keep your sanity and move on, but the biases that are there are prevalent, and closing your eyes to them will not make them disappear." Asian American Geology. For us to be able to make a change, we must start with the facts and speak up to people like Kevin. In order for change, the oppression of women, and specifically women of color, in the workplace must be recognized before anything can happen. We must recognize that these problems that we face, we must recognize that it's true and it happens every day. Whether it's happening to your neighbor or not, it's still happening in the world. And before we can actually move forward, we need to recognize that its existence. Well, that ends my clip on gender discrimination at a workplace. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed it.